How do videos usually start?
Action.
I need to get into character. Okay, I'm just gonna go. By the end of this video, hopefully you will be a plant watering expert. All you need to know is there are 3 strategies for watering your plant, and it depends on the type of plant you have. Some plants, such as this peace lily, like their water / their soil to remain moist. We'll explain what that means, how do you check it, and how do you keep it moist. But you have some group of plants that are like this. You likely know if you have this plant. On the other side of the spectrum, you have plants like the snake plant, like ZZ plants, like cast irons. They like their soil to dry out completely. Again, you probably know if you have this type of a plant. Don't worry, we'll explain what dry out completely means. Most of the plants, and the ones that tend to cause most of the problem, are plants like this that like their soil to dry out a little bit. We'll explain what this means. But first, we're gonna start with the peace lily. With all these plants, the first thing you wanna do is check the soil. And they all have different checking strategies depending on the type of plant you have. For plants in this category, what you wanna do is use your fingertips to test the soil. Now, a lot of people are skeptical about using the fingertips. They want to use moisture meters. Trust me, your finger is incredibly sensitive to moisture. The more you use it, the more comfortable and confident you're going to get with it. So plants like these, especially ones that are this size, all you need to do is use your fingertip, literally the top layer of your finger, and you just feel the top of the soil. You don't even need to dig it inside, you just feel the top of the soil. So if I touch this right now, I can feel a little bit of moisture. What that tells me is I can wait a little bit. I do not need to water it immediately. Now, with any of these strategies, it's really important to stay very, very strict when it comes to touching the soil. What many people do is they'll touch the soil, they'll go, well, I'm not sure, I feel a little bit, I'm gonna water it to be safe. Please don't do that, just don't do that. It's better to underwater than overwater it. So just feel the top layer of the soil. Peace lilies are like this, Boston ferns are like this. The strategy changes a little bit if it gets bigger. We'll speak about that later. Plant number 1. Now, group number 2. These are probably the trickiest soils to test because you can't really go so deep inside. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the entire body of soil is completely dry, completely bone dry before giving it any more water. Now, you might think, how do I do that? I'm going to stick my finger all the way inside to test the soil, but that might be a little bit difficult if you have fat fingers like mine. If you're comfortable and confident, what I like to do is literally take your soil out of the pot. It's very easy to do that, and you can just look at the soil. So immediately, if I just start touching this, I can start feeling that there's moisture here. This can wait. This can probably wait another month before I start watering it again. That's the strategy for this kind of a plant. Now, that might not always work. For example, you might have a ZZ plant. Now, ZZ plants are known to push out their soil against the pot, which makes removing it a little bit difficult. With plants like these, what you want to do is, number 1, you can still test the soil by going deep inside, but you probably won't be able to. The best strategy is to actually look at the plant itself. So I know by looking at the ZZ plant that it is complete, it is fine. There are no wrinkles or anything along the stem of this plant. Once it starts getting a little bit dry, you will start seeing wrinkles into the plant. It would start feeling a little soft. Once it starts feeling soft, what that means is water is being lost from the plant and it needs to be rewatered. So that's the other way you can test plants like these for when they are ready to be watered. We'll talk to you in a little bit about how to water them, but this is just the testing. Now, the problem plant. Plants like these that like their water to dry out a little bit. The way you want to think about it is, if you think about your plant being 100% moist, right? So what that means is you've just watered it all the way from the bottom to all the way from the top, you've got 100% moisture. As time goes by, it'll start drying out from the top, which makes sense because water evaporates up. So a plant like this one, like your snake plant, wants the water to get completely dry before you water it. A plant like this peace lily, which we spoke about, It's only about the first 10% that needs to get dry before you start watering it, which is why we're only feeling for the top layer. Plant like this, you're thinking about 30 to 50% of the top layer needs to be dry. So you want to stick your finger in about 30 to 50%. That's going to vary on how big the size of the pot is. The bigger it is, the deeper you're going to need to put your finger in. But with a plant like this, I would go about this deep. So I literally take my finger and I go that far inside, about 2 lines in. Now I've stuck my finger in and you can probably already see that there's soil on my finger. This tells me that there's moisture. I don't need to water it right now. If you had a bigger size pot, such as this one, which is the same watering strategy, again, we're thinking 30% to 50%. So somewhere here, you will need to stick your finger far deeper inside, going literally as deep as it can go. This feels kind of dry, so I'm not gonna water this anytime soon. Oh, sorry, this feels, you distracted me, Tala. I'm gonna start over. This feels kind of dry, so that means that probably tells me I'm going to need to water it pretty soon. I'm going all the way down and there's absolutely no moisture whatsoever. And what you see me doing is I'm checking different parts of the plant, and I'm doing this because you can have pockets of moisture somewhere. So because I'm testing it all the way around the pot and I can see that it's dry all over, finally you can get some really big plants that have the same watering strategy, such as this one. And this is gonna have the same problem, right? Again, you're thinking 30 to 50%, but now 50% is all the way here. I don't know how long your fingers are, but my fingers won't reach. So in situations like this, the best thing you can do is start getting used to how heavy your plant feels when you pick it up. I know it sounds strange, but once you start getting used to your plant and you start picking it up, it will become very, very obvious when your plant needs to be watered or not. If this plant was fully dried and I was picking it up, it would just feel so light. Once I do water it and it gets to 100% saturation, it's gonna feel pretty heavy. So you just need to start getting used to how heavy does my pot need to feel before I start watering it, and you're gonna be good. So just to recap, plant strategy number 1, likes to stay really moist, just feel the top layer of soil. Plant strategy number 2, likes to be a little moist. You want to feel about 30 to 50% in, so depending on the size of the pot will determine how deep you want to put your finger in. Plant strategy number 3 wants to be bone dry. Option 1, pull it out, look at it, feel it. If it feels moist, wait. Or if you can't pull it out, look at the actual plant itself. If you see wrinkles, if it starts feeling soft, just wait a little bit longer. Done.